Hey guys, welcome back. Do me a favor and make sure the doors are locked. The windows are shut. No, really, I'm not kidding. Because tonight, we're not just talking about a haunted house. We're talking about a malevolent entity that didn't just rattle chains, it physically tormented a family, drove a man to his deathbed, and was so notorious that even a future US president came to investigate. Before we get into the strange, unbelievable, and frankly terrifying details of this story, hit that like button if you've ever had to talk yourself out of being scared in the middle of the night. And in the comments, tell me the scariest ghost story you've ever heard from your own family. Now, get ready, because this one is so twisted, it'll make you question everything you thought you knew about ghosts.
You're sitting in a rustic log cabin home in Adams, Tennessee in the early 1800s. The air is cool and still, carrying the faint scent of wood smoke and cornmeal. You can hear the crackle of the fireplace, a comforting sound against the deep silence of the rural night. But then, a new sound begins. It's a scratching, soft at first, like a mouse in the walls. You lean closer, listening. Then it gets louder, more frantic. It sounds like a rat trying to chew its way through solid wood, then a dog with razor claws digging at the floorboards. You turn to look at your family. Your father, John Bell, looks concerned but brushes it off as an animal, but you know it's not. Then the sounds change again. It's now the sound of chains being dragged across the floor. Thuds, bangs, the sickening visceral sound of someone being slapped. You feel a sudden sharp sting on your cheek, a burning sensation that lasts for a second, then fades. You look at your sister, Betsy. She's clutching her arm, a pained look on her face. You're not imagining this. You're not alone. The final sound is a whisper, a faint ethereal voice that seems to come from every corner of the room at once. It's high-pitched, like an old woman, and it's calling your father's name. A chill, unlike any you've ever felt, wraps around you, and you realize, with a cold dread, that this isn't just a haunting, it's a personal attack, and it's just getting started.
All right, let's pause for a second. This story is a cornerstone of American folklore and has been passed down for centuries. The events I'm about to describe are based on historical accounts and first-hand testimonies from the period. It's a deep dive into the strange and the unsettling. If you're watching this alone at night and things start getting weird, don't blame me. Blame the creepy ghost who decided to pick a fight with a random family in Tennessee. Also, if you know someone who's obsessed with spooky history, tag them in the comments so we can all be terrified together. The Bell Witch is basically the ultimate passive-aggressive roommate from hell. She doesn't just leave a note on the fridge saying, "Clean up your mess." No, she throws your stuff across the room. She doesn't just complain about your noise, she slaps you until you're bruised. Think about it in modern terms. This isn't just a spirit that makes a few things go bump in the night. This is a ghost who is a full-blown bully. She didn't just want to scare the Bell family, she wanted to absolutely ruin their lives. It was less of a haunting and more of an all-out spiritual assault. She made their lives a living nightmare, to the point that people from miles away would come to witness the chaos. She was basically the celebrity ghost of the 1800s. She was so famous that even General Andrew Jackson, a no-nonsense military man and future president, came to investigate. His party of men were reportedly so terrified by the poltergeist that they left the next day. Imagine a future president, a man who would later command the entire US Army, getting spooked by a ghost. The story of the Bell Witch begins in 1817 on John Bell's farm. What started as strange noises escalated into a full-on paranormal assault. Objects were thrown, bedsheets were pulled off, and the children were physically tormented, with the spirits slapping and pulling their hair. Eventually, the entity found a voice and began speaking. It was reportedly capable of speaking in multiple tones and could sing hymns, quote scripture, and carry on full conversations. The entity even identified itself as Kate, the spirit of a neighbor named Kate Batts, with whom John Bell had a land dispute. The most chilling aspect of the haunting was its focus on two family members, John Bell and his youngest daughter Betsy. The entity, Kate, seemed to have a particular hatred for John Bell, often physically harming him, causing him to become sick, and eventually, according to the legend, poisoning him. When John Bell was found dead in his bed, a vial of poison was discovered nearby. A note left by the spirit supposedly claimed responsibility. The attack on Betsy was equally relentless, with the spirit tormenting her and threatening her every time she tried to marry her suitor, Joshua Gardner. Now for the theories. The most popular one, of course, is that it was a genuine haunting by a malevolent spirit. The sheer number of witnesses, including doctors, reverends, and General Jackson himself, makes the story difficult to dismiss. Another theory is that it was an elaborate hoax, with some historians speculating that it was one of the children, probably Betsy, using it as a way to avoid marrying Joshua Gardner. A third and more modern theory suggests that a family member, particularly Betsy, was suffering from a mental illness and her symptoms were interpreted as a supernatural event. This is where the internal conflict really comes to light. Was the family really tormented by a ghost, or were they suffering from the slow, agonizing realization that one of their own was the source of their suffering? This internal battle, this clash between believing in the supernatural and fearing a mental breakdown, is the true tragedy of the Bell family.
So now that we've covered the unsettling events and the possible explanations, let's look at the legacy of the Bell Witch haunting. What happens when a story this dark becomes a part of a town's history? How does a place move on when its most famous resident is a demonic ghost? If you were a member of the Bell family, would you have chosen to believe it was a ghost, or would you have suspected it was one of your own? What would you have done to try and stop it? Tell me your thoughts in the comments. The Bell Witch haunting remains one of the most well-documented cases in paranormal history. The story has been the subject of countless books, documentaries, and even a movie. The legend lives on, a chilling reminder of the dark and powerful forces that can exist, whether they are supernatural or deeply, tragically human.
The Bell Witch is a story about the terror of the unknown, but it's also a story about the fragility of the human mind and the danger of believing a lie, even if it's one that a whole town believes. It's a testament to the power of a legend, so strong it can transcend generations and even a future U.S. president. We may never know the truth behind the Bell Witch, but the questions it raises still haunt us. Was it a spirit? Or was it something else? Something far more chilling? The mystery, of course, never truly ends, because some spirits aren't confined to old farms in Tennessee. Some of them are just waiting on the side of a lonely road, looking for a ride. Our next story will take us to Chicago, where we'll explore the haunting tale of Resurrection Mary.